Dolls have traditionally been viewed as harmless toys that bring joy and comfort to children. However, different cultures have their own unique beliefs and practices surrounding these playthings. For instance, in some cultures, dolls hold spiritual significance and are employed in rituals and healing ceremonies. They are also used to represent deceased loved ones to pay tribute to their memories. Some cultures, on the other hand, use dolls to allegedly channel negative energies and use them during curse ceremonies to inflict harm on others. Whether you believe dolls are just innocent playthings or a powerful supernatural tool, one thing is for certain: they're really creepy. This video narration may include elements that some might find disturbing. Viewers and/or listeners' discretion is advised. Hi, my name is Lucas, and welcome to Enigmatic Episodes, where we delve into the most spine-tingling stories from the depths of the internet. Each week we select a topic and tell our listeners 2 hair-raising stories about the subject. One is a chilling creepypasta, a tale that may or may not be true, while the other is an alleged true account based on well-documented cases or news reports, which we present in a gripping narrative format. Details about the stories will be provided after both stories are finished. If you're interested, grab yourself a snack, coffee, or beer, and sit tight as we guide you through hair-raising stories that will make you question what's real and what's not. This week's topic is dolls, and our first story is called, "I've Always Hated Dolls." Everyone has their fears, whether they are rational or irrational. Mine has always been dolls. Not all dolls, mainly just the ones that are a bit too human. I think it's mainly the eyes that get to me. So I'm sure you can imagine I was ecstatic to find out I was the inheritor of my very own clown doll. It was a gift from my late great-aunt. I'd met her maybe once or twice in my life, so why she left this of all things to me was beyond me. This doll was something straight from my nightmares. I mean, a doll was bad enough, but then you throw in the clown element as well. The doll's glass-like face was painted white, with red accents and markings over the eyes, mouth, and cheeks. The eyes themselves, however, were nothing but a black void. It has thick white hair jetting out the sides, and a round hat that almost resembles a cherry on top. Its outfit is essentially your typical clown attire. Like the face, it was a mixture of red and white. This doll is about the size of a toddler. In other words, way too big for me to feel comfortable anywhere near it. I would have given it away, but out of respect for my grandmother, I kept it. So naturally, its new home would be my closet. I placed it in the back on top of an old dresser that held clothes which no longer fit me. I thought that would be that, and my life would go on as it always had. Unfortunately, that would not be the case. I'm not exactly a tidy person, so my clothes rarely made it back to my closet. As a result, I didn't have to see my clown friend for quite a while. It was a few weeks later before I finally went into my closet in the quest for a clean pair of jeans. There he was, sitting on the floor in front of the dresser. I assumed he must have fallen off the dresser somehow, because I clearly remembered setting him on top. Those empty black eyes were too much for me, though. I grabbed my jeans quickly and left without bothering to put him back on top. I spent the rest of the day thinking about how that doll could have fallen off the dresser. So as a curious person, I decided to check out the closet when I returned home. The doll was there, of course, but it was back to its original position atop the dresser. I approached it and looked into those empty eyes. Nothing. As much as it creeped me out, it was just a doll, right? I must have just imagined seeing it on the floor. I live alone, so there's no way anyone else could be moving it. Regardless, I decided to stay clear of the closet as much as possible. A couple nights later, I was awoken to the sound of what seemed to be laughter, and it appeared to be coming from the closet. It was very faint, which is why I was a bit surprised it woke me. Generally, I'm a very heavy sleeper. For something like this to wake me was quite odd. The last thing I wanted to do was go into that closet, so I decided to attempt to wait it out. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud thump, and then the laughter stopped. After turning on every light possible and arming myself with a kitchen knife, I decided it was time to check the closet. I slowly opened the door and it was completely normal. Absolutely nothing was out of place. Even the doll was sat upon his normal spot on top of the dresser. I picked up the doll and felt around it to see if there was any sort of speech box, but there wasn't. With a loud sigh, I set the clown back down and left my closet. Perhaps I was finally losing it. Over the next couple days, I was on high alert. I began to notice small things here and there had gone missing or were moved, most notably small bits of food that I swear I hadn't eaten. I relentlessly searched every nook and cranny of my small house, looking for any possible signs of vermin or other intruders. Everywhere, that is, except the closet. Alas, my searches turned up nothing, further confirming my idea that I was in fact losing it. That was until a couple nights later, when the laughing returned. Only this time it wasn't just faint laughter. This was a booming cackle. The laugh seemed to reverberate throughout my whole house. I was petrified. I didn't dare move an inch from my bed. The laughing persisted, and I began to hear loud banging noises coming from my closet, until suddenly its door swung open. A large, dark figure emerged and stormed out of my room. I heard it sprint through my house, open my front door, and leave. As soon as this happened, the laughter stopped. After reminding myself to breathe, I was finally able to move from my bed. I approached the closet. What I found devastated me. My old dresser was no longer against the wall. Instead, it was now in the middle of my closet, and where the dresser had been was a hole. A hole easily large enough for a human to fit behind, but small enough that you would never notice it if it was being covered up. Beside the hole was the doll, seated perfectly upright, with one arm outstretched towards the hole. I didn't dare look into the hole, afraid of what I might find. Instead, I grabbed the doll and locked myself in my car as I called 911. The police later confirmed my suspicions of what had happened. Someone had been living in my home. Inside the hole was a pallet where the person had been sleeping, as well as a small amount of trash. Worst of all, the person had a small collection of pocket knives. They were probably not meant to be used as weapons, but it's still not exactly comforting thinking about it. Since that night, my clown friend has not left my room. He now has his own special perch on the table next to my bed. I'm still not a huge fan of dolls, but perhaps they aren't all so bad. Did you like our first story? We would be grateful if you could help us out by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. Your support would mean the world to our small channel, and we promise to continuously improve our content to keep you coming back for more. So thanks in advance, and now let's get on to our next story. Our next story is called They Can't Let It Go. Our family had always been a tight-knit unit. We enjoyed spending time together, laughing and making memories that we would cherish forever. Christmas had always been our favorite holiday, and in 2013 we were all excited to see the joy on my daughter's face when she received my gift. An Elsa doll from the Disney film Frozen. For the first 2 years, everything was normal. The doll would recite phrases from the movie Frozen and sing "Let It Go" in English. We didn't think much of it since it was just a toy. But in 2015, things started to change. Weird stuff started happening in our home. Doors would often open and close on their own. Lights would flicker on and off, and the TV would sometimes turn on automatically. It was all very strange, but what really caught our attention was the Elsa doll. One day we noticed that the doll had started speaking and singing in Spanish, even though there was no button to change the language. We were all confused and a little scared, but we all shrugged it off as just a glitch. For 4 years, the strange occurrences around our house grew more frequent and intense. We would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of the doll singing in Spanish, even though we had turned it off. It was as if the doll had a mind of its own, and we were powerless to stop it. We never tried to change its batteries, but kept on talking and singing in Spanish. This happens even when it's turned off. We tried to ignore it, but it was impossible. So in 2019, we tried to get rid of it by throwing it into the garbage bin outside the house. Back then, I thought that was that. But a couple of days later, we found the doll on a wooden chair inside the house. When I saw the doll, it felt like cold water was poured over me. Scared and a little bit angry, I double-bagged the stupid doll and put it at the bottom of the trash can. But just like what happened the first time, we saw the doll again. This time it was in the backyard. The next thing we tried was to throw it directly into a garbage truck. I was sure that there was no way this doll can come back to us. But I was wrong, because the next day the doll was waiting outside our door. Every time we thought we had gotten rid of the doll, it would come back. It was like a bad dream that we couldn't escape from. The worst part was that every time the doll was at our house, the strange occurrences happening there also escalates. We would now hear footsteps in the hallway when no one was there, and doors would not just shut, they would slam on their own. It was as if the doll had unleashed something in our home, something that was determined to make our lives a living hell. We were desperate for help, but we didn't know who to turn to. That's when I remembered my friend Hogan from Minnesota. I called Hogan, told him what was happening, and he agreed to help me. I mailed the doll to Hogan with no return address. Miraculously, Hogan received the doll after a couple of days. He immediately brought the doll to his garage and taped it to the brush guard of his Jeep. He then called me stating what he did and jokingly said, "If anything weird happens, I'm welding this thing into a steel pipe and sinking it in Lake of the Woods." Since then, the doll never returned to Houston. I'm relieved that I'll never see that cursed doll again. But I'm still scared, thinking that it may return someday. Days had passed since we had gotten rid of the Elsa doll, and the whole family seemed to be returning to normal and was beginning to let it go when we heard a loud boom. It was one of our bedroom doors, and it slammed on its own again. And until this day, the strange occurrence inside our house did not stop. And I'm left with questions in mind. Did that doll bring something evil into our home? Or maybe it was never the doll in the first place, but something else. Those are indeed some of the creepiest stories about dolls. Now, I know you've been waiting for the details of those stories, so let's get on with it. The first story, "I've always hated dolls," is a creepypasta written and submitted by Devin Hoover from Creepypasta.com. All credit for this amazing story goes to Devin. If you want to read more stories from Devin, you can visit his Reddit or Twitter account. We'll leave the links down below. As for the second story, "They Can't Let It Go." This haunting story is a retelling of Emily Madonia's real-life experience with an Elsa doll, which was documented in multiple news articles not just in Houston, but throughout the United States. We'll also leave some of the articles we found regarding this story in the details section. Now, whether you believe Emily's story or not is completely up to you. But I would suggest that you check the dolls in your house. They might not be as frozen as you think. Thanks for tuning in to Enigmatic Episodes and for lending us your ears as we shared these spine-tingling tales. If you have any suggestions for topics or stories, or if you have a real-life creepy experience of your own to share, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below or connect with us on our Facebook account. All of our social media links are in the description box. We value each and every one of our listeners, and we read all of your messages, so feel free to drop us a line, and we'll do our best to reply. That's it for this week. We'll be back with more spooky stories next week. Again, my name is Lucas, and you've been listening to Enigmatic Episodes. Thank you so much.